yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is the captain here, actually with the chief engineer himself. Got the epaulets to prove it. We also call him the chief ideas maker.
Chief ideas man.
Chief ideas man. It's of course James from JimmyRum. Thank you very much for having us.
Lovely to see you.
I'll tell you what, I'm absolutely gobsmacked when I come in here every time. I've been watching you today, running through the cell and so forth, and seeing how it all ticks and how it all goes over. But for everyone that's out there watching, because we made the announcement a few weeks ago that we're going to be appearing here as well, and again, thank you very much for that. But walk us through the process. What, because you weren't born into a rum family, I'm guessing. Yeah? What was the thought process to?
The thought process was all this started out as a bit of a joke. It was a very big joke, and now it's got serious very, very quickly.
Very quickly.
But no, my background is the epaulets was the chief engineer. So worked in the marine game for quite some time, about 20 years.
Well, okay.
Got a redundancy coming through because our company lost a contract. And I got so sick of the question of where are you going to go, what are you going to do, that I jokingly turned around and said, well, I'm going to go make rum. And they usually hit the floor laughing, hysterically, saying I'll drink all the profits. They just didn't know I was going to buy a lovely big still like this that can good for about 200,000 bottles a year.
Jeez,
So
200,000?
Yeah, so she can purr along. But she's only doing about a tenth of that at the moment, but we've still got a long way to go.
And I understand she's got a name.
Matilda, yes.
Matilda. What's the thought process behind Matilda?
Matilda, there's about 4 reasons that came up. She's actually Italian still. It's designed to make grappa, and we've just had it modified to literally start making our rum and different styles of rum.
Well, I've noticed all the different styles.
Yeah.
I suppose before we get into all that, when did you realise when you first started? Like, did you buy Matilda first and then go, I'm going to start making? Did you have a small still and try it at home? Like,
No, literally, it's one of the reasons she gets a name. Do a plan, a quote from Roald Dahl's book, Matilda, is do a plan so big, bold and audacious and over the top that everyone thinks you know what you're doing. So the first still I ever actually bought was Matilda.
What's Matilda? So you went straight for the big ones?
Yeah, I don't do things by halves. And so engineering background and a bit of a science background, I knew we'd work it out eventually. So we dived in, and it took us a couple of months of trials and error, but in the end we're really happy with our product. Our Navy, for instance, here just entered into the World Rum Awards in the UK, and it got the world's best unaged rum for a hybrid still.
You're joking, really?
No, won the category.
We've had this on the show a few times, and we love it. And when I say we, I mean me, because I haven't shared it with anyone yet. So, because as you said, it's unaged rum, is what you said?
It's an unaged in Australia. It's called an unaged cane spirit.
Cane spirit,
In
right.
most of the rest of the world, it's an unaged rum. There is no such thing as an unaged rum in Australia because of a law from 1906, or legislation actually from 1906.
Right. So, for Navy to graduate into under Australian terms, rum, what does Navy need to?
I'd need to put it in a barrel for 2 years.
That's it.
So minimum 2 years. So exactly that product, I could take that Navy, take 10 bottles of it, put it in a 7-litre barrel, age it for 2 years, and we would have rum.
Have you got any sitting at the moment? Or?
Yeah, we've got about 80 or 90 barrels sitting down now and growing. That's what's coming off the still now at the moment. So we'll be barreling that up in the next day or two. So we do somewhere around 2 to 3 barrels a week.
Right. And how long until your next official rum comes off the barrel?
We've got staff that's probably about 6 or 7 barrels that are 2 years old. Matilda's only been running for 2.5 years.
Right. Yep.
So she's quite new.
So
quite
the first ones are already in the barrel ready.
So the first ones, and we got samplers, and I'm more than happily bottle it, but I reckon I can get it a little bit better. So we're aiming for a barrel 12, which was the second barrel we ever filled. Yep. Aiming for a release in Christmas, but in the end I won't let it out unless I'm happy.
Yeah.
So this is what we do. If I'm happy with the spirit, then we let it out. So, but at the moment I actually am happy with it, but I reckon we can get even better for our first release.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge rum drinker, and there's a lot of people out there that are huge rum drinkers, hence why they're watching us by now.
Yeah.
What's rum to you? Like, when are you happy with like if you go out, for instance, and you sit down and have a drink, what's a good, like, what do you look for? I guess, like, does it have to be a dark liquor? Does it have to be a silver liquor?
Well, that's one of the things with rum. It is the most versatile spirit in the world. Now, sadly, in Australia, we've only ever grown up, most of us have only ever grown up with two styles of rum that were available.
Yep.
Or two brands of rum that were available.
We're not going to mention the brands.
No, we won't mention any brands. But both of those are high production volume things. They're fantastic for what they do. I've drunk both of them a lot. But what I go looking for is, it depends on your mood. Sometimes I am looking for what we would call a dirty rum, which is a dirty, funky Jamaican style with huge ester counts. It's not for the faint-hearted. You take a sip of it and wonder what's happening in your mouth for the next 2 or 3 minutes. So it gives you a really nice kick. Or you fall back into a lovely Bayesian style rum like our Barbados, which is just an incredibly gentle sipper. You just sit there and nibble on it. In no way is it confrontational. In no way is it trying to stand above the crowd. It just wants to sit there and gently walk you through after dinner.
And
so, yeah.
I think that's what I like the most. It's very versatile. There's thousands and thousands of cocktails out there that include rum of some kind.
It's not just cocktails. There's thousands and thousands of rum out there. I've been in bars around the world with over 800 rums in them. You find me a bar in Melbourne with more than 200 and I'll be impressed.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's about 2 or 3 bars in the country that have over 500, but not many.
So. All right. Why need to go to there when we can come here?
Exactly.
Yeah. You got them all here.
Well, we're working on it. We will eventually.
This is what I like, because a lot of people, like Silver is well known in the local area, as well as your Barbados and your Oak. Right? 3 really good rums. And then you've upped the ante with your Navy, and then there's a couple of secret weapons sitting over here.
Well, look, part of the thing is because rum is so unknown. I mean, one of the ways I'm approaching it is there's 2 ways I'm approaching getting rum into Australia and changing everyone's viewpoint. One, by doing things that are completely left of centre, not something you'd ever expect to come through with a rum. I mean, we're going to do a honeycomb, which a lot of people know about, a honey rum and a few other bits and pieces. That's all in the making and not too far away. But who thought to actually put it over a Pinot grape?
Yeah, and this is really interesting. So we'll show that off to everybody. So this is a Pinot. I was fortunate enough to have a try of this a few weeks ago when it was still in secret stage.
Yep.
And I kept my mouth very, very quiet. But the second that I saw it advertised through your Facebook group, which is JimmyRum, by the way, so find him on Facebook. As soon as I saw it, I tagged a friend and he bought a bottle instantly. Like there was no sitting, waiting, because that's going to be a very fast mover.
Very fast mover, and the fun thing, it's a fun thing, well, you can think of it lots of different ways, but there is 750 bottles and that's it.
Really? That's it?
We can't reproduce it until we can get the grapes again next year. Now, we did a lovely collab, because I love a good collab. We did a collab with Crittenden Estate. It's down the road, so they've been probably one of the oldest vineyards on the peninsula. So Rollo over there has been born and bred making Pinot. So
Crittenden Winery have no idea how much free advertisement I've given them in 10 years, because he's got the best name, Critto. So we just call him Critto. Get into Critto.
Yeah.
So if you're watching Critto, you owe me a lot of money.
Yeah.
So 750 bottles.
Yes.
That's it. And I noticed that there was a lot rolling out today, so...
Yeah, so we went live with it on Friday for pre-orders. We're only bottling today. So in that 4 or 5 days, we've already moved 100 bottles. So it's pretty amazing. A lot went out on mail out. This weekend we'll move a lot too, as it's now available, so people can see it, grab it, taste it, and buy it. So, yeah, right out. Put it back. I'm watching you.
I've got sticky fingers. And I've noticed... No, I started the setup here, and then all of a sudden I've noticed there's a new one that not even I know about.
No, look, that's part of our distiller's special range. We had 4 of them over Christmas. They pop in and out. There's only ever about sort of 60, 80 bottles, maybe 100 if you're lucky. And it's stuff that I personally, that's why it's called a distiller's special, that we personally think is just that bloody amazing. It's not to be blended or mixed or anything else done with it.
Just as is.
So, for instance, that Oak Plus there is from barrel number 4, which we got a 37 litre barrel. That when we tasted it, it was just amazing. So it was like, nah, that's it. We pull that entire barrel, we put it at barrel strength into the bottle.
From Matilda, you've got it.
So Matilda did it. It did 364 days in a barrel, so it was just coincidence. It was just we happened to be testing at 1 year mark, and it was just like, yeah, get it out. We love it. That's got to be put in a bottle. So that didn't want to last any longer, too much longer, and in the small format barrels you start to end up with too much oak influence.
Yeah.
So a lot of people like that, but for me and what I'm going for, I don't want too much oak.
Yeah.
So it's just got a nice, really sort of quite a heavy influence of oak, but not overpowering.
Well, let's have a walk through it, because, and then you can, if you don't mind, how it is stilled.
Yeah.
As it comes out. So let's have a look at your silver, because this is, as I said, one of the more well-known ones in our local area.
Yes.
You can buy them quite local as well. There's local bottle shops that sell it, and same as the Barbados.
Barbados, yes.
Is also available. Check your local distillery, but don't come here instead. So walk us through the process. Like you started off with silver, which I'm guessing runs through Matilda, and you put the cork on it. Is that how it sort of runs, or?
Sort of. It's in a simple sort of way. So,
very simple way.
Explaining how we make rum. Believe it or not, rum, whiskey, and brandy are all incredibly similar in process. Yep. We're all very, very different in taste. We all have a lot of nuances on how we process, but really we ferment, we distill, we barrel age, we bottle, and we drink it. Far too much usually, but we drink it. So, what whiskey is a fermented grain. Doesn't matter whether it's bourbon or Canadian or Scotch, or just whiskey. It is a fermented grain. Think of it as distilled beer.
Right, okay.
That's literally what it is. Whereas your brandies, your cognacs is basically distilled wine.
Okay,
so
makes sense.
if I was to go and distill something like a Pinot wine, then we'd end up with a Pinot spirit or a grappa.
Yep.
So something along those lines.
Yeah. And grappa is great. That was the main reason, let's be honest, that you bought that. You're like, let's get into the grappa market. Because I know guys that run it through washing machines.
There's all sorts of weird and wonderful things that the good grappa, and when you get into Italy and what these stills are built for, these stills are over 100 years old, as in been building stills for over 100 years. So a good grappa is just amazing. It's mind blowing. So, but no, what we do is we take molasses. For us, rum is sugar. So sugar cane product. You never use table sugar, it's boring. It never ferments all that well. So we either use a cane juice, which includes everything, and we make a French style rum, which we're trying to hopefully have done by October this year.
So even your sugar is sourced locally in Australia as well. I understand that it comes up from New South Wales.
Yeah, northern New South Wales. So we use a company called Sunshine Sugar, which is part of a Manildra group.
Now they owe us money. Yep.
Yeah, they owe us money. But they're one of the last fully Australian-owned major sugar refineries in the country. So a lot of the others are just foreign investment. So when I found out about that, it made my decision where I bought my molasses from very easy.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine, sugarcane is like a grape. Where you buy the grapes from, or the wine from, which vineyard, will change how it tastes. Sugarcane is exactly the same. It's still a grass, it's still a plant. So there is over 2,500 varieties in Australia.
Jeez.
So you go and buy even the same variety from a different part of Australia, you'll end up with a different taste. So we had to be very careful with what we picked in the way of molasses.
So moving from running it through, doing all that, I'm guessing there's a lot of science.
There is a little bit of science. So when that ferment's finished and we have 7% alcohol after about 5 or 6 days, I put it in Matilda. You can see her purring along there.
She's purring along nice,
yes, and so we basically we boil the alcohol out.
Right.
So alcohol boils at 76 degrees, water boils at 100 degrees. So she's really just a very fancy kettle.
Right.
So the difference is, you've heard cooking the alcohol off. Well, we catch it. Right. So it actually goes up. The first pipe over there is an alcoholic steam. Over around 85% when we start, and then over, like right now, it will be down to nearly 0%.
Right.
I'm just using it to heat the next section, which is breaking more of the alcohol out.
Right. Which is the centre part.
Yeah, the column and thumper there.
Yep.
So basically the steam comes across, has to go into the thumper, which is full of liquid. That steam then has to turn back into a liquid again until the heat builds up enough and it starts to distill again. So it's a partial redistillation. Then we're going up through the lovely column there, and the column, each sight glass has a plate in it, and that plate is trapping the liquid, and the steam has to force its way through. So you partially redistill, clean and polish the spirit all the way up.
So what will happen? I noticed that there's a lot of switches and valves and so forth. So is that a way to trap different levels of alcohol?
For this style of still, which is a batch distillation, each one of those is just a drain. So it drains the liquid out of the plate, and then that plate won't work. If you look now, there's 7 plates closed up the top, and there's 5 plates open. So if we engage all 12 plate, we end up with a really ultra light rum. So we leave 5 of those plates out to drag some character through into silver. So we don't want to over refine it, otherwise it's too boring. You end up too close to vodka.
That's fair. So once she's gone through the entire process that we saw earlier, the end product, we had a look at the alcohol content, which was sitting at 92-ish. So I'm guessing there's a way to break that back down once it's reached, because you can't pump out 92.
You don't want to drink it either, it hurts. It's not going to kill you, but it does hurt. But no, 92%, it sounds funny. We spend 10 hours distilling, getting all the water out, getting a beautiful clean spirit. And then first thing we do is we add more water back in.
Right.
So we add a demineralised water back into it. The mineralised water is something that has been completely filtered and cleaned out and has nothing but hydrogen and oxygen, so nothing but H2O.
Oh.
So no taste, no flavour.
Hasn't been blessed or anything?
Hasn't been blessed. No, we haven't quite gone that far. It's a thought though. There might be something in that. There might be something in that.
Pull some strings with the Catholic Church and they owe us a few favours.
I'm sure we can do that. Yeah, they probably do. But no, we blend it in, so all you actually get when we bring it down, and we don't just dump the water in. We'll spend a month bringing it from 92%, slowly bringing it down to 40%. You don't want to shock your product.
No.
You've got to relax and bring it down. I'll get it to within 40.1-ish, 40.2, and then I'll let it sit in tank for 2 months.
Yep.
So letting all the water and all those new flavours that we've compressed into the spirit, and letting them relax and be more cohesive product. So,
It's really fascinating, the science and so forth with it all. So when you've gone from like your silver into your oak, what's the main difference in style and taste and all that sort of stuff when you transfer from one to the next?
So the only difference with that is we've put this in. This is an American style of rum. Here we still have to call it an oaked cane spirit. We can't call it rum. It's doing very well out in the trade. It's got probably my most proudest award we have. We entered it in the hottest 100 spirits in Australia through Bartender magazine last year.
Yep.
And it got number 10.
Really?
So 10th hottest spirit in the country, and it was the only cane spirit or rum in the top 15. So it is most definitely my favourite award. That and the Navy taking out the entire category is 2 awards I just love.
That's phenomenal. So far we've got 2 major award winners. We've got an awesome, great, if you're going to have barbecue with your mates, type rum to get into, and that's going to win a few
Don't
awards.
stress, that's won a gold medal and 2 silvers as
Oh,
well.
yeah,
So
all
gold medal in the Australian distilled spirits. The only one we don't really enter is Barbados because it's imported.
Right, yeah. And that was the other thing I was going to bring up is obviously with the laws and legalities of the Australian liquor, ways of rum and so forth, your Barbados, it's still yours. You've just imported it and had some fun with it to get it.
Yeah, well, it was one of those things. It's how do I teach Australia about rum?
Yeah.
So we make gorgeous cane spirits here, and we've got rum coming online. But it's going to take me 10 to 12 years to have an 8-year-old rum. So how do I get people off drinking a rum and coke or drinking it in a mojito only? How do I get them into sipping on gorgeous, neat products? Everything we make here is you are able to sip neat. I won't send anything out in the market. But some of it you've got to be a little bit more practiced at drinking neat than others.
Yes.
A bit like grappa. Barbados it's made by a company called Foursquare Distillery in Barbados, and they have literally won God knows how many World Rum Awards. But I get their 3-year-old, their 5-year-old, their 8-year-old, and I blend a ratio that is to my palate and to what I want the Australian public to be able to sip out of.
Right, yeah. So yeah, what I suppose in that and what you're describing there, it's not a simple case of you contacted a distiller and went, I'm just going to put it in my bottle. Like, there's actually a lot of thought and science that have gone behind this particular blend of Barbados.
Yes.
Which is, again, something that you only find locally. The bigger companies are very good at just sourcing the material, and then that material becomes X, and there's no science in between. It's just from just a different label.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of science and a lot of work that has gone into...
A lot of drinking too.
And well, that's even better. And which is the only reason I'm here. I must admit, I did enjoy turning up, and there was just nothing but drinks when I arrived.
Yeah. Oh, there was today. Yeah.
Nothing but a great day.
So nothing day in the life of a distillery. So it happens.
I'm safe to say I'm probably going to have to move in here, actually, if you don't mind. Set up a cot or something over there. Now, the Navy we've seen quite a fair bit on our show. It's one of my favourites to drink at the moment. Again, higher in alcohol content, which I guess is probably the big key criteria out of the rest of them. Because most of these are sitting in your 40% sort of range, is that right?
Yeah, so Barbados and Silver are always 40 pretty much.
Yep.
Oak is variable, so each batch we adjust the alcohol to suit the barrel it came from.
Yep.
So you just up and down a little bit to get the flavour profile just how I like it. Navy is always 57.8.
Yeah. So, and we explained on the show, and you can tell me whether I was full of shit or not, but the way that they used to test rum was the Europeans, and they would run gunpowder across a bar, tip the Navy on it, and if it's still lit, it was over the 50% range.
57.13%, yes. Yes. So
this guy knows his stuff. Obviously, we don't do that today.
No, it doesn't work today, to tell you the truth. The gunpowder's too safe. They've made it safer. So, but back in the 1800s, you want to go and buy 200 barrels of rum from Mount Gay Rum, for instance, at Fort Square, in Barbados. They've been around since 1703. So, they're 300 and nearly 20 years. But in the 1700s, you had no way of testing it. There was no equipment to test it. So you could take a chemist and he'd pull a portion and redistill it and fluff around, but it'd take him all day to do one barrel.
Yeah.
So what they worked out was a really quick, easy way to test it. Is if you run that line of gunpowder down the table, if there's and pour the rum over it. If there's too much water in the rum, you waterlog the gunpowder and it won't light. So the point at which the alcohol-soaked gunpowder lights, 57.13. So it's the same. 4 pillars Navy strength rum, Navy strength gin, 58.8. So all of us should be sitting around the high 57s, 58s, and that is Navy strength or overproof.
Right, yeah. So it's the OP version, but I think the Navy sits better with especially the history behind it, and the fact that you're, former Navy water
merchant, merchant.
So I'm guessing, I heard a story, and you can tell me I'm lying here, but you actually did quite a lot of research when you found Barbados.
Maybe.
And you did quite a little bit of travel through Jamaica and so forth, learning...
A lot of the world, actually.
Yeah.
Sadly didn't get to Jamaica, but a lot of the world. So it was basically, I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I need to go and find out how other people are doing it.
Yeah.
So I hit the States to have a look at a lot of the craft distilleries, not just rum, but gins and whiskies and everything else to see. They're about 5 years ahead of us in the craft distilling boom. Yep. So I want to see how they were doing it, what they were doing right, what they were doing wrong. So that's what we did. So, and I went down to the Caribbean to see how the big boys play, so to see how they distill and the size and what they do. So I basically had to do it for Australia. Yep. I had to go and research rum and make sure I could provide the proper product and teach people that rum is just not rum. It is this whole diverse product.
Yeah.
So I put myself through the pain and suffering of over 70 distilleries in 3 months. So yeah, the third liver's hanging in there. It's okay.
Comes in an esky now.
Yeah, comes in an esky. But no, it was fantastic just to see how people operate. The industry, I actually came back more in love with the industry than I do with rum. Just because everyone is open, friendly, helping. We all fight for the one cause, trying to bring a craft spirit to the public.
And like, there's a lot of breweries, there's a lot of wineries, there's a lot of, just your mum and pop businesses. And then there's someone like you that has found a really good niche market, especially when it comes to the different rums and the cane spirits and so forth, that I'm really excited to see what tomorrow brings. Like, we were talking last week, and it's already different to what it was last week to today. Like, things have increased. The people coming and going, and what I think I like the most about JimmyRum is you're not just focusing on just your rums. You've got different cocktails. You've got a nice restaurant. You've got a wine cellar, or not a wine cellar. You've got a cellar door at the front. When did you know it was time to expand? Like, when did you go, right, we've got the rum down, or we've got the cane spirit down, now we need to...
Well, look, it was all part of a good business model. So, and that's one thing I picked up in those tours. I saw how people were doing it good, and I saw how people were doing it bad. And you learn just as much from the bad as you do from the good. And for other things were good for them, but I know it won't work for me or for what I wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
So there's about 3 things I learned when I went through that travelling. The first one was don't do it by yourself. I didn't pay attention to that. The second one, regretting that one to this day. The second one was buy the biggest tool you can afford.
Yep.
Hence the reason why it's so big. Because you've got to be able to grow, so you need to buy the still.
Yep.
And the third one was basically it's going to take between 3 to 5 years for a distillery to be profitable.
Yep.
So we figured in for the long haul, so you need a second form of income. For a lot of people, that's a big bankroll. They've got a big cash behind them.
Yep.
For others, on a much smaller scale, they keep their main job and just do a craft thing, or craft a really small thing. But for us, it was, we need another form of cash flow, and we need a huge way to show people what rum is capable of.
Yep.
So that's why our bar is here. It helps us to show people exactly what is happening in the rum world and how we can mix it, how we can play with it. We still get a lot of people going, I don't drink rum. Well, do you drink a mojito? Oh my God, I love a mojito. Well, you drink rum.
What do you reckon's in it?
So
I don't drink rum, but I love rum and Coke.
yeah. I mean, we're as good as a lot of the craft breweries and bars that are around. Ginny Road is 2 doors up.
Yeah.
Marvellous neighbours and good mates of ours. So they've got a fantastic restaurant right in the middle of the brewery, and they're great. And it's what the craft beer scene has done so well is bringing these amazing down-to-earth venues, which is exactly what I've done here. I wanted you to know you're sitting in the distillery. I wanted something you can come here on a Friday afternoon, knock off work, and have a beer.
And your Friday night drinks are actually taking off quite a fair bit. I noticed that, because I again follow you on the social media side of things, and even today, hanging around for the couple of hours that I have, there's constant buzz. There's constant buzz. There's people in and out. There's people enjoying your outdoor areas. There's people that enjoy the indoor areas. And, it's your beautiful bar staff have been busy prepping because they know they've got a big weekend ahead. It's just a buzz here. And it's the atmosphere that you bring, which is, and you open your doors to me, which is a huge thing. A lot of people told me to
bit rough, but
well, I did pay you a lot of money for this. But yeah, a lot of people tell us to nick off, and the fact that you've agreed for the nightcap to, partner up with your brand is phenomenal, and we look forward to doing a lot of work with you. I suppose now would be the best time than any to say that very soon on a Friday night we will be coming to the nightcap live here from JimmyRum, and then you've got your trivia nights, which are on your Thursday nights. You've got your Friday night knock-off drinks, your Saturday nights, which are always a buzz. Soon you've got something up the sleeve for a Wednesday night.
That one hasn't quite come out yet. We're still putting that one together, but
up the sleeve it is.
Yeah, look, a lot of it is to help us grow, but it's also, I'm a huge believer of community.
Yeah.
So anything I can do, the collab with Crittendens, our hand sanitizer was all geared. I could have sold it all in about 2 days, but it was all geared to try and make sure everyone in the community that needed a bottle, get a bottle.
Yeah.
So that was 3 weeks of chaos. But we've got local artists outside with a big wall mural. So Ben Ross out there, he's done an amazing job out there. So our idea is every 12 months or so is to turn that over with another young local artist and give something they can plaster their name all over and say, well, here you go, this is what I do. And I've now got a 60-metre long mural out there, the biggest mural on the peninsula.
Yeah, it's massive.
That is helping to get people to come and check us out, but also helping some local artists learn how to do it.
And I suppose it's very similar to the nightcap itself. Like, for many years we were on radio, and then we made the jump to YouTube and visual media. And I told you our issues at the moment with production and stuff, but you still took the risk. And here we are today. And then we're going to grow at the same rate as you're growing, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
Look, and that's always the big thing for me. I'm helping someone get off the ground, and and B, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think
I don't normally get around with epaulets on. It's
No.
only because you're determined to
I was
wear
very
your captain's
determined.
outfit. I wasn't going to be outdone.
I was very determined.
So it's
And
like
the difference is yours were official. Mine were made.
they are, yes, a little official. They're stuck on with sticky tape, but they're
But
official.
they're still
That's-
official.
yeah.
I want your shirt, I really do.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing is your branding. Is everyone knows in business, branding is key. If you have a good brand, people will own the product.
Yeah.
And you've got them on shirts. You've got them. Just about every glass I've seen in your distillery here is branded. You've got pull-up signs. You've got flags. You've got even for people that may not be spirit drinkers and they like to stick to their soft drinks or whatever. A nice stubby holder. And it's a Hessian one, which for people that collect stubby holders like yourself, you don't see many Hessian.
You don't forget the tag on the
Oh,
side.
yeah.
I love the tag.
Got the tag.
Yeah.
And we brought this up on the show when I first introduced JimmyRum to us. Is your little cards that on the inside, you've got little cocktail recipes for everybody to, so it's not like you're just saying, here's the rum and drink it.
Work it out.
You're giving people a lot of variety.
Yeah.
And your cocktail bar that you've got here, I'm looking forward to. Jess has promised that. Oh, that's it.
So, yeah,
You're
that's
gone.
it, I'm out now.
You're done.
Let me get back on the sticky tape.
We're going to make Jess a bit later, and she's going to show us one of the cocktails and how they come together. And we're really excited by it. And I'm hoping when we do more live shows here that you come and join us on the couch and we can talk. What's the cocktail for the week? What's
More
coming
than
up?
happy to stand in the background and heckle too. So,
Good.
Yeah, be a bit of heckling. So I'll pop in and out.
Oh, we love it. And if someone there's a few people that watch our show who may not have ventured into the rum side of things. What's a good starter rum? Like, what's out of your full collection here? Like, what's one where you go, it's not going to be too harsh, but it's not going to be, a girl's drink. Oh, girl's drink. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to
Look, really, the softest start is Barbados. Definitely the softest start.
Yeah.
Not to say that the silver and the navy. I mean, I find that I sell a lot of navy to new people, the new to drinking spirits in total.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to make it past that ethanol and get into the higher concentration of flavour.
Yeah.
And there's a certain percentage of people that love it. But then on the other hand, that's why we're moving into the Pinot and the Honeycomb and all these other little ones that are playing in the wings.
Because I'd recommend with the Pinot that it's a sipper. You wouldn't mix that with many things. Would you mix it with a soda?
Basically, we work on a very simple principle. You pay the money for it, you do what you want to it. So the only one I recommend is these distilled specials. Don't do it with that. You're not buying it in the right price bracket for that.
Yep.
It's not purely what it's not designed to do. I mean, that's just a high proof version of the oak. You may as well buy the cheaper form of it, mix it up, and away you go. This is designed to be a journey. If you've ever been to a seriously good food restaurant where the food goes beyond being good, it becomes an experience.
Yep.
That's what that's supposed to do. Even me distilling and drinking a lot of high proof alcohol all the time, I will still only have 30 or 40 mil of that on an evening, and it just takes your edge out of the day. It's basically the pinnacle of drinking less but drinking better.
And I'm guessing that's why it comes in a slightly smaller bottle.
Yes.
And you can even see in the clarity between the two. Like, you can tell that the colour means that the flavour's going to be a little bit more of a punch.
Well, I mean, they are different barrels, but they would have come out the same colour.
Yeah.
This one would come out, but to bring it back down to the much more drinkable 46.1% that one is now, for people that don't like a really high proof spirit, you obviously have to add water to it. So water not only dilutes the colour, but it dilutes the alcohol. So that's why.
This is a 65?
65 on the dot, that one actually. Yeah.
So 20,
So
25.
I think the most asked question I ever get was, where does the colour come from? So every single spirit that comes off a still, and it doesn't matter whether it's whiskey or brandy or agave or tequila, they all come off the still clear. Where the colour comes from is whether we put it in a barrel or an additive, or in the case of Pinot, over a grape. So we pulled the colour out of the Pinot grape. So every spirit is clear when it comes off the still. You can't take colour with steam.
That's a fair point. Now, also, like you were saying, the honeycomb is coming up. I know there's a spiced one that you've got.
Spiced, we're hoping in August, yes, so we're still tweaking away at that, but it's getting there.
And other flavours that I saw earlier today, I won't name drop them, but there were some really good stuff coming up.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of things we want to do to try and shake it up. We're trying to group it nicely so as it's not too confusing.
Yeah.
One of my favourite distilleries in the world is called St Lucia Distillery in St Lucia. I walked into their tasting room and there was 57 different rums to try.
Jesus. 57, and all from the one distillery?
From the one distillery.
Jeez.
So anything from heavy liqueurs down around 20%, really loaded up full of sugar and quite lovely as an après after dinner type sip, all the way up to their 15-year-old Chairman Reserve specialty blends. One of their blends had over 22 different rums mixed into it. Jeez. So they did a different one every year. It was just phenomenal what they did.
I'd highly recommend, I had the chance to do this earlier last week, to come in and do a tasting, and that way you know for yourself, one, the story that goes behind each thing, how it all comes together, how to taste rum or cane spirit the correct way, because I had learned so much just by doing the tasting, and how to, especially when coming to smell the navy, you get your smells like you got to do it differently to how you smell the silver. So apologies for the secondary angle, but just finishing up the story where you can come in on a Saturday and run through the distillery, how it all works, how it all comes together.
Yeah, no, you do that little distilling experience and it runs through quite a few different things. We have a lot of good fun. You get to take away 55 ml of what you made the day, just with a 50 ml bottle. Good fun, there's a few pizzas thrown in. We've had some really, really great groups come through that just, they bond over the time. So it's a good little
setup.
Yeah.
We'll have to do that. We'll have to do an ICAP one. We'll have to come in and do the experience and bring a group of us in, and we'll have a lot of fun with it. But we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Obviously working with JimmyRum, we're going to watch the journey and we're going to have a lot of fun with you. So I want to thank you once again. Chief Ideas Man, I tell you what, it's epaulets to prove it. James, thank you so much for having us.
I really love to be part of it.
Oh, we're looking forward to it. Thank you so much. And don't forget, guys, catch them on their website. You can go to jimmyrum.com.au or come and visit them here in Dramana.
Love to see you.
Yeah, it's easy to find. Come on down, have a pizza. I'll shout you one. Anyway, we'll talk to you all again soon, James. Thank you again.
You're shouting me.
Oh, it's your shop. You shout me a pizza. Let's go. Let's go have a pizza.
All right, see you. Bye.